Hello everybody and welcome. I'm Mike and this is Mike's After Action Reviews. And I have one question for you today. Do you have what it takes to be a samurai? Ghost of Tsushima, in my opinion, is the Red Dead Redemption of samurai games. It's cinematic, the production value is massive, the combat is thrilling, and the graphics are amazing. But these are all just the cherry on top of the main course of any gaming experience. The story is well made and allows the player to become invested due to its depth. You play as Jin Sakai, one of the last samurai on Tsushima, after a battle with an army of Mongols wipes out almost every other samurai clan on the island. In the game, you are trying to save your home from these foreign invaders. Playing this game is like two sides of a coin. There is a power in the subtlety of the game. The atmosphere presented is often soft and somber. However, on the other side of that coin is the power of the samurai. Combat is excellent in this game. It was designed to be very tight, with precision in mind. The game does a very good job of emulating the personification of samurai. The most effective way to handle combat is to calculate every strike and patiently await the perfect moments to dodge or parry. This is especially apparent in the standoffs. Standing toe-to-toe against an enemy, watching and waiting motionless until the moment that you strike them down with the speed and force of a bolt of lightning. It is in these moments throughout the game that the player can really think to themselves, wow, that is cool. The combat of the game is designed around 4 different stances that the player switches between. Each stance is more effective against a different type of enemy. Stone stance is for swordsmen. Water stance for enemies with shields. Wind stance for spearmen. And moon stance for brutes. The game has a progression system that allows you to upgrade the attacks of each stance and unlock higher level combos. Along with the stances, the combat also revolves around the management of a resource bar known as Resolve, which is gained by killing enemies and performing dodges and blocks, with perfect dodges and blocks gaining you more Resolve. Resolve also allows Jin to heal himself like some kind of Japanese Wolverine whose will to live just won't let him die. It is also used when performing special attacks. Aside from using his sword, Jin is also skilled with the bow. There are 2 types of bows in the game, the half bow and the long bow. The half bow is a standard bow that is effective against lightly armored enemies. It has regular arrows and fire arrows that can light enemies on fire and may also interact with the environment, such as being able to ignite explosives and set grassy fields ablaze. The long bow is the heavy ranged armament of the game. It has a zoom function while aiming, fires at long range, may fire through enemy armor, and has an explosive ammo variant effective at taking out crowds of enemies. Early on in the game, Jin learns the concentration ability, allowing him to slow time while aiming. This operates much like many other bullet time abilities you'll see in a lot of other games. As you use it, a meter goes down, and you have to wait for the meter to refill before using the ability again. As the game goes on, the player eventually starts unlocking ghost weapons, as Jin slowly begins to stray from the rigid path of the samurai and looks for other means of defeating his enemies. The ghost weapons include the kunai, smoke bomb, black powder bomb, sticky bomb, wind chime, and blowgun. The kunai was my favorite of the ghost weapons because they not only damage enemies, but also stun them, leaving them open to katana strikes. The smoke bomb allows the player to create a thick smoke across the battlefield. This enables you to stealth execute enemies even in open confrontations. The black powder bomb is exactly what it sounds like. It's a bomb. that you throw. It damages and staggers enemies. The sticky bomb is also exactly what it sounds like. It's a bomb that you throw. It sticks to enemies and damages and staggers them. The wind chime is a useful resource in stealth combat that can be used to attract enemies to a location to be executed or distract enemies to save yourself from being seen. The blowgun allows the player to kill an enemy instantly and is my recommended ranged weapon for players using stealth due to the fact that, unlike the bows in the game, you don't need a headshot to kill and it fires with less of an arc. Along with the blowgun's deadly poison darts, there is also a dart that you can unlock that drives enemies mad, causing them to attack their allies. I do want to specifically point out that the ammo for the blowgun can be replenished by harvesting either the purple or orange flowers that you will find in the white grassy fields throughout the game. This isn't explicitly explained and became confusing for me at one point. There are 11 sets of armor in the game, and in order to avoid spoilers, I won't go into how you get them or their lore, but I will talk about the key features of most of them, so that way you can get an idea of the types of builds that you can play around with in the game. The Traveler's Attire allows you to find collectibles and minor objectives more easily by causing the controller to vibrate as you get closer to them. It also clears a larger area of the fog of war on the map. The Samurai Clan armor reduces incoming damage, increases Jin's health, and gives Jin resolve when he takes damage. The Ronin attire reduces enemy detection speed and increases Jin's damage. Tadaore's armor increases the knocking and reloading speed of bows, increases concentration by 2 seconds, and causes headshots to restore your concentration meter. The Sakai clan armor greatly increases melee damage, massively increases health, and increases Jin's standoff streaks by 2. The Kensei armor increases resolve gains, increases ghost weapon damage, and causes enemies struck by a ghost weapon to take more damage while dealing less damage. Gosaku's armor massively increases Jin's health, increases stagger damage, and restores Jin's health when he kills a staggered enemy. As you progress through the game, there are different resources you will find that can be used to upgrade your armor and purchase ammo. There are also 3 more armors that you can unlock throughout the game, but you will just have to play the game if you want to find out about those.
Nothing stronger.
The game implements a gear system in the form of charms that can be earned as quest rewards or found at the shrines throughout the island. Charms fill up slots that are earned by honoring Inari shrines. Charms range anywhere from increasing the time it takes enemies to notice you, to increasing the damage of your attacks, to causing wind chimes to poison enemies. Charms, along with the different armors in the game, allow the player to create a wide range of builds, from the tank build to the stealth build, and everything in between. There is enough variety here to keep the player interested and wanting to try new combinations, and the effects of the charms have enough of a bearing on the game that they are worth changing depending on your playstyle. The game features a very clever objective marker system, with the player being guided by the wind to areas on the map. This creates a feeling unlike many open-world games, and works very well with the samurai aesthetic. It reminds me of the character Yasuo from League of Legends, and as I would play, I often found myself thinking, "Death is like the wind, always by my side." Sucker Punch has done an amazing job at crafting a world that is dense, but at the same time does not overwhelm the player with objective markers. Due to the way the player interacts with objectives, engagement is, at least in my opinion, far greater than that of games like Assassin's Creed, for example, in which you walk from map marker to map marker, picking up collectibles as you go. The best example that I can think of this is the fox dens. The player will discover a fox den. The fox will then lead the player to an Inari shrine. Golden birds follow a similar idea as the fox dens. They are randomly encountered and lead you to a collectible or side quest location. All these things add a great deal to the exploration element of the game and help create a world that is not only impressive in size and aesthetic, but also rich in detail. In my opinion, the best games make you feel the story, not just play through it. This game gets this right. The soundtrack gives you an ever-present feeling of bittersweetness. The music is complemented by the game's beautiful aesthetic, with landscapes drenched in color and clothed in perfect lighting. Two of the great tools that Sucker Punch uses to set the mood in this game are haiku and the hot springs. Around the island of Tsushima, the player will find places where they can sit and be inspired by the landscape to perform haiku. The voice acting and soft music playing in the background creates a spectacle that is very hard not to be moved by.
Standing amidst death. Alone, never forgotten. Once a grander sight.
When the player encounters a hot spring, they are given a choice of two subjects for Jin to reflect on.
Mother spent her last weeks in the hot springs. Even then, she'd never get her hair wet.
These two aspects of the game allow the player to peek into Jin's mind and gives you an emotional attachment to him and the world around him. Now it's time for us to talk about the core of any gameplay experience, and, in my opinion, the most important part. The story of the game has a 3-act structure, with the first act being able to be broken down probably into 3 sections. If I had to name the sections of the first act, I would call them the hook, the character establishment phase, and the clear vision phase. The hook phase is obviously named because of how the opening sequence of the game and the latter 2 hours of play are used, as in any other game, to get the player interested, or hooked, by showcasing core features of the gameplay mechanics. The character establishment phase not only applies to Jin, but also to the side characters, with all of them, for the most part, being introduced, and the main characteristics of their quest lines being laid out for the future. What I would call the clear vision phase begins about 75% of the way through the first act and finishes with the player having a clear vision of what the rest of the game will be and a general idea of how the story will go.
This way. Uncle.
I have heard the criticism that this game is predictable, and in this matter I would refer you to the beginning of this review in which I stated that the game is the Red Dead Redemption of samurai games. Ghost of Tsushima is a western, with a structure like many of the episodes from old shows such as Bonanza, Gunsmoke, or Rawhide. After the hero character is introduced, the local bandit leader comes to the town causing trouble. The episode would end with the conflict between good and evil coming to a head, and the hero and villain having a duel in the town square. The hero would then ride off into the sunset, having made sacrifices in order to defeat evil and learned something along the way. This structure to the game, although predictable, is satisfying and is to the benefit of the game. One last thing that I want to heavily emphasize about this game is the quality of the side quests. The side quests, at least the ones involving named characters, are amazing. In most open-world games, Skyrim as an example, side quests tend to be little more than repeatedly fetching an item from a location marked on the map and bringing it back to the quest giver. Here, the side quests are full production, having their own cinematics, and giving you a movie within a movie feeling. They are also structured very well, with arcs spanning around 8 missions each across the 3 acts of the game. They are optional, but I would highly recommend completing all of them because of the depth they give to the game, since, although they are separate from the main quest line, they tell stories parallel to the campaign and flesh out each of the characters.
I was so happy. Because that make me a bad person?
Playing this game, you can clearly see that it was made with passion for the project, and the way that it all comes together makes it much more than the sum of its parts. The story, while not some ridiculously complicated masterpiece, gives players a feeling of bittersweet satisfaction. Mix that in with the game's amazing combat and stealth mechanics, the beautiful aesthetic, the powerful mood set by the game, and the best side quests that I've ever seen, and you have yourself an adventure that no gamer should miss. And it's for these reasons that I rate this game as exceptional. Hey everybody, thanks for watching my after-action review of Ghost of Tsushima. Just a friendly reminder for those of you who don't know, I use a 5-tiered system here at Mike's After Action Reviews. We have bad games, below average games, above average games, and excellent games. So this game is definitely recommended as top tier. I am a small one-man operation, and if you would like to support me and help me grow so that way you can see more of my content, hit that subscribe button below and leave me a like. If you have anything to say about the video, leave me a comment and tell me how I'm doing. I really appreciate your support. Thank you very much for watching. God bless you and have a good day.